Hey friends, welcome back to Southern Crafts Corner. Today I'm going to take 4 items from Dollar Tree, a large pumpkin, 2 shelf sitter pumpkins, and a wall tile, plus a napkin I had in my stash, and make something gorgeous. I'll be using white, antique wax, a moss color, a mauve blush pink, and some gold. I first paint my wall tile all white, and then I start to add accents in with the chip brush in the pink and green and gold. It ends up coming out super beautiful. By doing it super light, you can see all of the gentle colors laid into the wall tile. Next, I painted some half beads to save later for the project, and then I Mod Podged a napkin onto one of the small pumpkins. I painted it white first to make sure that the napkin would show the pattern really well, and then I just took a sanding block and sanded off the edges. I used some tissue paper, crinkled it up really good, peeled the pattern off of the pumpkin, painted it all white, and then I used Mod Podge to lay down this crinkled up tissue paper. I patted it down to not lose any of the texture that it created, and you can see what it ends up adding is this really amazing texture to the top of this pumpkin. I sand this part off as well, and then we're going to paint this in the moss green. I paint it all over, leaving some of the green exposed, but before I paint it, I added on another layer of Mod Podge to create a hardened texture on top of the tissue paper so it retains its shape. Here's where I paint the green, and again, I'm not brushing it into every little crevice. I want some of that white to maintain its exposure. I then add a little bit of antique wax and then dry brush white on top of the pumpkin, so that way it achieves this amazing look that I wanted to have for my project. I then am going to go ahead and glue the napkined pumpkin on top of the green one. And I decided again to use those half beads that I painted in white and green, and I'm going to use them on the green pumpkin. Before I put those pumpkins together, I decided to finish my larger pumpkin by putting the sticky side onto my pumpkin and using an X-Acto knife to get it cut perfectly on here. This is a perfect fit for this size door hanger that they currently have at Dollar Tree, and you can see by painting it that way, that pattern really pops. Next, I use some jute twine to add to the stems on all 3 of the pumpkins. This just helps finish the look of the craft. We're going to then glue these together, glue on the half beads, and then glue these 2 pumpkins to the larger pumpkin. My goal is to create a little shelf sitter out of this. By layering these together, it creates it to be thick enough to where you can do just that. So pop your small pumpkin on top, and you can see how those 2 look together. The colors just match perfectly. And then we're going to go ahead and glue it right on top of the larger one and add just some little bows and greenery to give it its finishing touches. So I chose to do a mauve smaller bow for the small pumpkin. It pulls out some of those pink colors right inside of the napkin that I went ahead and decoupaged on there. And then the next color that I decided to use was just a tan to then pull some of the more neutrals colors from other directions like the twine and everything into the top part. So I just did a quick hot glue on the back of this loop, and then I pinched the napkin together. I used some twine. I create a little bit of a thicker middle for this by wrapping the twine around until I have a thicker center. And then I glued some lamb's ear on here. I think this project came out absolutely beautiful, and it's so unique for the fall. I hope this inspires you to get busy and get crafty. And if you love this, please let me know in the comments. Happy crafting.